Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I am Bobby Huon, and let's queer up entertainment. BD Wong leads call to reconsider maybe happy ending casting decision. Broadway film and TV star BD Wong is speaking out against a recent casting change in the Tony-winning musical Maybe Happy Ending. And he has brought over 2,400 voices with him. The futuristic love story between two robots, Olivia and Claire, made history when Darren Criss became the first Asian American actor to win a Tony for his role as Oliver. But when Criss stepped down, the announcement that white actor Andrew Barth Feldman would take over sparked backlash from fans who argued the show is an Asian story that should keep Asian leads. In an open letter, Wong recalled past fights over representation, including the 1990 Miss Saigon casting controversy, saying this moment feels, quote, as if no time has passed, as if nothing's changed, as if no one learned anything from that racial dismissal and exclusion 35 years ago, end quote. He described this decision as, quote, a hard slap in the face, end quote, to Asian actors and audiences, noting, quote, no, we don't want to get somebody fired. We must express, though, how painful it is to be passed over, yet how used to it we've become, how incomprehensibly rare Asian shows are, end quote. Broadway stars Ali Stroker, Anthony Rapp, Conrad Ricamora, Joaquina Kalukengo, and Telly Leung signed the letter. Support also came from Crazy Rich Asian star Constance Wu. The show creators Hugh Park and Will Aronson acknowledged the pain the casting change has caused. However, as of now, the team behind Maybe Happy Ending has not directly responded to Wong's letter. This one's tricky.
It is.
It's just because part of it is like, okay, so, I mean, it is an Asian actor, but I haven't seen the musical, so I can't tell how culturally specifically Asian this is. If it is not culturally specific Asian, but because it was written by an Asian person, I don't think this is cultural appropriation. I mean, it's a robot, right? They play a robot.
That's what I was going to ask. It's about two robots,
right?
So again, I don't know much about this musical either, so I was going to try to look into it. Like, is there a Asian specific, like, yes, Miss Saigon?
There is.
Okay.
Apparently, because again, I have not seen this, but the backdrop is in South Korea.
Uh-huh.
So there are references with scenery, there are references with locations, there are references with cultural moments.
Then that makes sense.
That makes sense. But on the other hand, I just want to point out that first, Darren Criss looked nothing like Korean.
Well,
Darren Criss is, I believe, half Filipino.
He is, well, he is not Korean, but he is Asian.
Yes.
Asian
descent.
But as an Asian, I can tell you that we all Asians don't stick together that way. Just like, you can just call a Hispanic person just from random country. And the thing is, I understand that if it is specifically South Korean, then maybe get a Korean actor. Get someone who want to be in that role who is from Korean descent. My fear is that in performing arts, pretending is supposed to be a thing. I get it if there's something culturally specific, but on the other hand, I feel like we are going into the rabbit hole of like, oh, gay roles must only be cast with gay actors, and certain roles must be cast with certain ethnicity, sexual orientation, or nationality. Then we're not pretending anymore. We are just basically making people do things.
Yes, so I agree, because we've had the whole backlash about the live action Ariel. We had, and the writers were like, well, if you really knew what the real story was, and technically Ariel would probably be of some
black descent,
person of color, because they're from the islands. So I understand that if this show truly is an Asian storyline, it would be like, again, Miss Saigon, they bring up, that putting a person of color in that role, that does make sense, that they really should cast people that are relevant to the role of the show. But on the flip side, we've had African American Cinderellas. I'm on the fence with this because while I do understand that we should not be overlooking people for the roles, we have the argument of, casting, gay people for gay roles and whatnot. But then does that mean we only cast straight people for straight roles? Like there's a lot of, in art itself, there's a lot of flexibility, and if we become too rigid with it, then it's no longer art. It is us just recreating our own life.
A point was made in my research that this show has been done in Japan. This show has been done in China, and the casts reflect the community. And because I believe BD Wong was making the point about this is a Korean show, then how can you go to other countries,
right,
and expect that the cast is only going to be Korean? Because I know at this point...
They're different cultures.
Because at this point I know 99% of the original cast is, I'm going to say Asian just because I don't know if every single one of them is Korean. So that's a difficulty for me to understand. And also the fact that it's been pointed out that in different, as shows age and they disappear and then they come back and they're reborn and they're redone, it typically reflects the community at that point in time. So the scenery changes and there are references to modern society that are tossed in there potentially. Or
adaptations.
So how does that play onto this?
And also just remember that in the very early days of acting, even either Shakespearean or Japanese no theater, all roles were played by men. Men have been in drag for thousands of years.
Yes. So, I mean, look, they were, and we have evolved. So, to your point, when adaptations come out, they evolve. So, again, I think as artists, we have to be sensitive to the art in which we are portraying. So, if I were cast in a role for a predominantly Japanese or Korean play, written, directed, the language was about a Korean culture, yes, I think people should be upset about that.
Actually, talking about funny casting. So this is an aside, but in North Korea, all those U.S. soldiers that defect after the Korean War, they actually cast them in movies playing like stereotypical evil Americans.
Well, but I think it's important that as the adaptations take place, we want to be respectful. You don't want it to be...
No.
And I'm going to make a historical reference that I know a lot of people aren't going to realize. When Breakfast at Tiffany's was done, there was an American actor who played a Japanese neighbor.
Yes.
Yes.
Mickey Rourke. No, isn't it Mickey Rourke? No.
I just had it, and because you said Mickey Rourke, I lost it. But at that point, it was panned. That particular character was panned because it was so stereotypically and not stereotypic in a
positive way,
funny way. It
was Yellowface. Yeah. And also John Wayne did it, I think, in the Genghis Khan movie. One of them.
Yeah. I mean, we've grown as a community and society.
Well,
in some of us.
Yeah. But my point is that as the adaptations go forward, as long as the characters are reflected respectfully.
Agreed.
Now, one last point I want to make against BD Wong, or at least question him to, because he made a point in his letter, and I read his letter about how, as a Korean show, this needs to be Korean, and Koreans are so open. Well, during the Vietnam or the Korean War, it's very well known that when Korean women had relationships with men and children were produced, those children were threatened with their lives because it didn't reflect the Korean attitude that you are 100% Korean or you don't exist. Especially girls. So there's a lot of, there's this whole conversation has to go on much deeper and much longer than we have
I can say plenty about Korean culture, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut now.
But my point is, as a non-Korean, I'm a little confused because it's like, there's a lot of ways this can go. And I realize that this is a very popular, very successful show. Darren won awards on this and everything else. But I just think that there are better ways to tackle this conversation than doing it in such a public way and making it become a you're with me or you're
against me. Absolutely, especially in the arts.
And we have so much problems right now with this whole with me or against me crap that I'm just a little.
We have other fishes to fry, bigger ones.
Yes,
absolutely,
orange ones.
And that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer, not-profit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.